ain't perfect, but I don't mind, because it's worth it. Who really has the time at all? It ain't perfect, but I don't mind, cause on the surface I look so fine, but really I'm bugging, making something out of nothing.
Yeah, as hard as it gets, cool, calm, and collected. Holding my breath, this ain't what I expected. Don't argue to death, pull my heart out my chest. The cards is all on the table, I'm calling it. Don't say it, I swallow it. When living off of borrowed time.
All right, hello New Haven. So you're hearing some modern hip hop, so you probably know what time it is. It's the Undergrad. This is my last show for the summer on the station. Today I'm going to be reviewing Mac Miller's Swimming, maybe just spouting off some random thoughts that I had, and yeah, let's have some fun.
Sure, I need more. Well, it ain't perfect, but I don't mind, because it's worth it.
Is it?
Who really has the time at all?
Is it?
It ain't perfect, but I don't mind, cause on the surface I look so fine, but really I'm bugging, making something out of nothing.
Yeah, it felt like the weekend on a Tuesday. I could move dates, I got something else to do, they always do, hey, if I do say. The dudes say with the homies like it's Kool-Aid. Me, I'm just trying to play it cool, J. Anyways, yeah, mind over matter, I'm purer than alkaline. Been stuck on album time, I gotta get out to shine. Fly on the wall, shit, I was bugging.
It was kind of cool to listen to this album this morning because it was like a perfect day for it. I think like one of my best feelings I can have in this world is like when an album really like matches the scenery of like what I'm looking at. That's always a really cool feeling. Like the first time I heard Flower Boy, I was like driving to Westchester to pick up my friend Jeremy, and we had like the perfect amount of time to listen to the album, and like the palette of like the sun and like where I was driving really matched the aesthetic of the album, and that was a really cool feeling. So let me give my background about Mac Miller before I get into this review. First off, it's pretty cool to see him grow so much because it was the first mixtape I ever downloaded. If you have me on Twitter, you know that now. So the story of how I found Mac Miller. I was at summer camp in 8th grade, and I had gone on this trip to Oregon. They like sent like a special group of kids to Oregon to do whitewater rafting in like an outdoorsy setting. So I think it was like the southwest of Oregon I was at, and I just spent the entire week like disconnected from phones and stuff. And I got this call, and this kid talked to me. He was like, "Hey man, you get that new Mac Miller mixtape?" I was like, A, what's a mixtape? B, who's Mac Miller? So that was the start. But I like definitely acted like I knew Mac Miller to like seem cooler. I was like, yeah, for sure. Yeah, my boy Mac. I had no idea who he was. So the next time I had an internet connection, which was like 2 weeks later, because at the camp I was at, they didn't have like phones and stuff. I downloaded Kids by Mac Miller. That was like 8 years ago. And then I started to, divulge more. I found his Mac raps back in the day, back when it was Easy Mac. And then I got to Best Day Ever. That was a really cool mixtape. I kind of been following his career for a while. I forgot like what the ones before the Kids was called, but I pretty much listened to every Mac Miller project out. And then he kind of progressed, and at first he was really only making frat raps, which is kind of like a nickname for like cool, calm, collected raps about just like chilling with your friends and hanging out, kind of like in the style of like Jeezy, but not trash. Like they were like fun. It was just like fun summer day music, and that's a lane, but you can't live there, And Mac Miller has made this transformation that I don't think I've ever seen any other artist take from like fun freshman year college raps to like depressed senior year like blues. It's crazy. It really started with Macadelic. Macadelic is that mixtape that kind of transformed him from an angsty adolescent rapper to like someone who's dealing with a lot of stuff and can express it in really creative ways. There was a lot of really cool songs on there. There's a Kendrick feature on there. I really enjoyed it. Then I think he came out with Blue Slide Park before that. And that's like the worst album I've ever heard. That is a really bad album. It really hurt me when that came out. I was really into Mac Miller, really into rap music. I was like finally like a big debut from him, like 50, and I was so depressed about it. It was just really bad. And I love Mac Miller. Like but yeah, I bet he would even say, I feel like that was like the peak of his like drug addiction being fun, but like wasn't like, it didn't translate well. What I mean by that, like, I think back in the days he was making music about his like drug habits in like a fun, lighthearted way, but as you get older, these habits start to like wear and tear on you, and you can definitely hear that in his music. Like at first it was like fun, like skip school, smoke weed music, and now he's like sitting in his room doing a bunch of drugs. Like that, this is like the middle, like he's not doing that now, but there was a time where his music kind of translated to that. So after Blue Slide Park, which was just terrible, and Macadelic, which is fantastic, on 2013 he released this album that I'm playing in the background now, watching movies with the sound off, and he came out with the ballsy PR move to release the album the same day as Yeezus, which was that was an interesting call, because Yeezus was obviously the biggest album at the time, and Born Sinner came out that day as well. It was like the best day of my high school career for sure. It was like the day I got out of finals, like that day, went home, I had a Bluetooth speaker, and I had like just listened to all 3 albums, and it was so relaxing. Really like that album. I really enjoy everything that's going on there. I love the cover, love the name. Isn't Bad song on there. Like if you've never listened to it, it is definitely worth a listen. It's called Watching Movies with the Sound Off. It's a really interesting concept. One of the more put together projects from Mac Miller. I think this is when he started producing as well. He's actually had a really long and interesting career with production. A lot of people don't know that he's produced a lot of his own music in the style of like J. Cole, something like that. He produced an entire project for Vince Staples called Stolen Youth, which is absolutely fantastic. Like, he cranks out some of the best beats. Maybe I could find it. Like the beat that this man cranked out for that album was amazing. I highly doubt there's a clean version for it, but yeah, it's a really cool beat. Like I love his ear for music. And I think it's like one of the things that's really brought him to the forefront of music is that he has such a good ear for it. Here's the beat. Ooh, all right, I can play that. Thank God. Like, listen to how this man produces. It's fantastic. That sample's so hot, and Schoolboy Q flows over that with Vince Staples. It's a really cool project, and I really enjoy it. He then released Faces, which is another mixtape of his, also one of my favorites. We got a lot of good work from him and Earl. I think this is kind of when he started to take the accessibility of his old music and kind of match it with the vibe of his new life. I think that there was a time where Mac was like really sad and obviously trying to experiment with that in his music, but it didn't really translate to how accessible his earlier stuff was, like Kids and and all his other mixtapes. And I think on Faces he kind of figured out the formula. Really enjoy it. If you haven't listened to it, it's a fantastic listen. So the next album he came out with was Good AM, if I'm correct. And that came out my freshman year of college, and that's a damn near perfect album. Like that record really took over my entire freshman year of college, which I really appreciated. There's features on there from like Chief Keef, Little Dragon, Ab-Soul. The Chief Keef verse is amazing. I hope I can play it on radio. I really liked it. That's really when he hit like another production peak. Really enjoyed the album as a whole. Yeah, there's just not really one bad song on it. And it's just one of those. Oh, Lil B's on this album, Miguel. It's like I said, a fantastic project. I have it on vinyl and it sounds so good. So after Good AM, which I thought was his best record, he came out with The Divine Feminine. And that's an interesting album for me because I don't personally love it. I'm not the biggest fan of the Divine Feminine, just for a couple reasons. I really like when artists like branch out and do new things, and I really appreciate when they do that. But sometimes I feel like they strive away from what makes them great. And the Divine Feminine just didn't like hit me as hard because I understand the music that Mac Miller likes, and wants to make, but sometimes in the world of music, that's not the best music you're gonna make. And I thought the Divine Feminine was an interesting project, but not something I'm gonna revisit a lot. And that's something I did revisit a lot. I really enjoyed it though. I thought it was really cool. Yeah, there's some really good hits on there. Cinderella. Like, I listened to it a couple times, but it was just one of those projects where I just like completely forgot it came out like a week later. I did not love it. Yeah, but now we're here to Swimming. So let's get into it. He initially released a couple singles with it. If I remember right, I think it was Buttons. Trying to get the list up. Buttons, Small Worlds, and Programs. And I really enjoyed all three of them. They didn't really gain a lot of traction because that week Ariana Grande was doing her PR run with Pete Davidson. So I think that kind of overtook Mac's career. But he's been really silent for the last couple of years. Like, he hasn't done anything. I think that the Ariana Grande thing probably hit him pretty hard. And yeah, that led us to Self-Care, which was another single off the album. And What's the Use? I loved both those songs. I usually try to stay away from singles, but with Mac Miller, I was trying to get a feel for the album to know if I would like how excited I should get, and if he wasn't like rap. Like, I hate when rappers don't rap. I do, like, I understand that's a really cool project for them to do. Like 808s is fantastic. When Drake sings, it's great. Lauryn Hill is fantastic. But I need a good balance. Like, I don't know. It's so selfish to think, because like people should be able to make whatever music they want. But in my own personal opinion, I really like when people stick to their craft. Like, you can change your sound. I love when people do that. I hate when things sound the same, like when one album's just a part two than like the first album, if that makes sense. But yeah, I really like when people kind of go to their craft, and that's what these singles really showed me, is that people can go to their craft. Ooh, I'm gonna let one song play out real quick. Be right back. Oh, this is two matches with Mac Miller and Absol.
When I was just a kid, dreamt that one day we'd all get rich. No more problems and no more tricks. I set my sights high, cause in my lifetime, man, I seen some shit. Yeah, I swear to God, I see some other shit. What you doing if you ain't on your job? Hey, blow out the candles, make a wish. What's a life if you never take a risk? Ain't a place too far, ain't a dream too big. Nothing wrong with a little bit of fun. Nothing wrong with a little bit of fun.
In my lifetime, my whole MO was to get this MO anywise, sabotage the wealthy and enriching the poor. So, long story short, that's one of my long-term goals. My anatomy is platinum, gold is old. Letting my hair swing like booty tang. I done seen some spooky things through these Gucci shades. Cute to cute bitches.
So into Swimming. This whole time I've been like wondering about Mac Miller. Like, is Mac Miller okay? Because you see in the media cycle, like everyone's kind of joking around about it, but I really like am considering it. Like, because obviously the Ariana Grande thing is gonna hit him hard. They were dating for like 2 years, and then she immediately jumped into another relationship. Like, I hate to be so into celebrity lives, but I was generally interested. I was like, hey, what's going on with Mac Miller? And that was the most confusing part about this whole project, was trying to figure out if Mac Miller's okay or if Mac Miller's on like the brink of depression. Because in every other project, it's awkwardly clear that this man is going through something pretty heavy. But on this project, it was kind of mixed, and I think that's where the whole swimming concept came from, because he alludes to like illusions of water the entire time, like having head underwater, treading water, swimming. And I think that's kind of like the point of the album, is that he's trying to just tell us that like we're just kind of all swimming through life. Like, we have like ups and downs, but like you just gotta keep swimming, gotta keep moving forward. I think that he kind of did that thing that I was talking about, where he evolved his sound but didn't lose his craft, and that's like a really interesting conundrum to live by. I think that I don't think he produced a lot of this album. He produced some of it, but that was also a really interesting turn when someone who's predominantly producing their own stuff let someone else grab the reins. You get interesting results. John Brian worked on this album as well, and he curated a lot of late registration. I actually read that he had never listened to Mac Miller's album, like music, but Mac Miller had asked him to come in. He said, "Hey, can you do this track for me? Can you help me with these instrumentals?" And John Brian added a bunch of really cool stuff to the end of all the songs. It kind of gave more of a cinematic feel. That's really what Swimming kind of felt like to me. It felt very cinematic. Like, I don't know. I really enjoyed the way that he made the whole album sound. Hurt Feelings is a highlight on this album for me. That is with Mr. J. Cole behind production. Would have loved a J. Cole verse, but no features on this album. And that kind of makes sense because it's a very personal album, and I think that's what Mac is trying to communicate. Is how like how he's doing. That's like the whole point of his albums, is just to know like how he's doing. It's like for me to know how you're doing. That's like why I listen to so many people's albums that you've probably heard in 90 different reviews. Is that these people are in really interesting sociological situations. I'm just trying to find out how you're feeling. But yeah, I think the whole album, I don't know, I thought it was so interesting how he like sent a bunch of mixed signals about the status of his mental health. And we don't really see that a lot in albums. It's usually one way or another, like I'm doing really well, I'm doing horribly. Like in 808s to well, I can't think of one project where someone says they're doing well. I guess Dirty Sprite 2, something like that. But this was kind of like a both. It's like, hey, I'm doing okay, I'm all right, but I still have my days. And I read this interview with him in Rolling Stone where he talks about that he's like not really he doesn't really do drugs that much anymore, and he doesn't really understand why that public perception is still there. I personally really thought that it was a good read, and if you ever have time, you should definitely check it out. It's really good. I think he might have had the cover. But yeah, I just thought that it was just had such a cool instrumental feel. Like, let's start with the beats. There wasn't really a bad beat on the whole album, and there wasn't really a rappy beat. And when I mean by rappy, I mean like a predominantly hip hop beat, with like 808s and like something that like bangs. It was all very jazzy, very free form. It just sounded like the music that Mac Miller wants to make, kind of like his Flower Boy in a sense. Like, I think that before Flower Boy, Tyler wasn't making music to the level that he wanted to make or that he could make, and with Flower Boy he really showed what he's capable of, and I feel the same way about Mac here. Like Mac, I think Mac that really found a nice balance between music he wants to make and the best music he can make, and you could definitely hear it throughout the entire project. I wish I could play it, but they don't have a clean version of it. But yeah, there wasn't really that many songs I didn't enjoy. I didn't love Ladders, which is weird because it's kind of like the big song of the album. My favorite song was probably Perfecto. I really like Perfecto and Self Care. I like the way that the songs also flow together really well. With a lot of these new modern projects, I feel like things are just placed in certain areas for like aesthetic, but I think that this album was kind of made to listen to the whole thing. Like when I went back and listened to it song by song, I wasn't that impressed, and I was like, oh, maybe I like this a little too much in the moment. But then when I went back and listened to the entire project, I really enjoyed it. So I think it's just one of those albums where you have to listen to the entire thing to really appreciate it fully. And in relativity to his other projects, I think that Swimming is probably his best. His only real competition is Faces and Good AM. But Faces is more of a nostalgia factor for me. Oh, also I didn't mention his run with Delusional Thomas. I really enjoy that. He has a bunch of he has this like alter ego, which is kind of the thing that people do in hip hop, like Kill Edward, all of Doom's alter egos. It's a very popular trope in hip hop music, but Delusional Thomas was this thing he did where he like pitched his voice down and up to like sound like a different person, and it came out with a whole different project. It's really cool if you guys haven't checked it out. There wasn't really any pop hits on the album, which I really appreciate because I obviously do not enjoy songs that are made for the radio that much, like listen to my personal life. Like Donald Trump by Mac Miller, I never listened to that song ever. I just like when it came out and when it was popular, it kind of spoiled that project for me. And the fact that it's called Donald Trump is kind of funny now. So other really good moments on the album, just I don't know, I thought the lyrics were just so interesting. It was just like one of those albums that I don't know, we're just getting on the brink of mental health and music and how they coincide. And I think that this album is definitely going to be a case study in the future, because it's just like it really shows the duality of mental health. Like I said earlier, it's not like everything's bad or everything's good. He's just kind of swimming, and I think that's why the album title is so clever. Also, the cover is fantastic, as you can see on my screen. I haven't really figured out why he's at like a door, but it's just like it just kind of communicates this feeling of like the feet, but not like. I thought it was really interesting if you look at his feet that there's a bunch of like dirt on it, so he's been walking for a while. Why is he in a suit, and where does the door go? I think it's a really interesting conundrum. I really like thinking about album covers way more than I should, which is a weird habit. But yeah, let me look at. I'll be right back.
Always had a dream of stunting, it ain't nothing unless you running shit. Just a young motherfucker with a plan. Thought I was a man when I first made 100 grand. Thought I was a shit when I first made 100 grand. Thought I was a king when I first made 100 grand. Couldn't tell me nothing when I first made 100 grand. Made 100 grand.
So let me give an example of what I mean by like the duality of this album. So on at one point he's saying, don't say it, I swallow it. When living off borrowed time, I'm on the fence, on a line, adding up what's on my mind. Like, I don't know, that sounds very depressing, right? But then the chorus is like, well, it ain't perfect, but I don't mind because it's worth it. Who really has time at all? It ain't perfect because I don't mind. Like, I think he's just finding out like the ups and downs of life, but in like different fashion than our generation's used to. He's kind of seeing the upsides of it, because I think that our generation views this stuff as like never ending. Like these feelings that we have, like anxiety and stuff, it's supposed to be never ending, and it just feels like the entire world is suffocating us. But what Mac Miller's trying to say here is that I understand that life's not perfect, but there's ups and downs, and you're swimming through it. I hate that I keep saying swimming, and the album's called Swimming. So if I do that again, please just text me to shut up. And if you really look at the like credits of the entire album, he did EP the entire project, which was really cool, which means executive produced. So he obviously had a hand in all the production, but he let other people kind of take the reins, and that was really cool. That really produced a really interesting and well-crafted project. I thought it was a really bad call to release the album the same day as Astroworld. I did not think that was smart. Because if this album had been released like a week earlier or a month later, like it would have been a dope fall album. But it doesn't really have a summer feel to it because it's so real. Like people in the summer, people want music that just like they can just go on the beach and drink cheap beer and not think about anything. That's like summer music to them, or stuff that you can like listen to at 2 a.m. when walking around. Not like, I guess it is kind of that music, but Swimming doesn't really fit the vibe of the day it came out. I know it's weird that I think about music in that sense, but I thought that the release, like he didn't really do any promo for it, but I don't really think he wanted to. Like I don't think he really cared about how popular the record got, and I thought it was just a really well-crafted project, just released at the wrong time. Because now in my head, I'm going to be comparing it to Astroworld, which is so unfair because this is an album that's basically just Mac Miller versus Travis, who had the best feature list of probably any album ever. Like The Weeknd, Pharrell, Tame Impala, Stevie Wonder, Drake, Frank Ocean, Sway Lee, James Blake, Kid Cudi. Like that's such an unfair comparison for me to say like, oh, Astroworld's better than Swimming, because they're just so completely different albums. But yeah, I thought it's a fantastic album. I really hope it doesn't get lost in the whole rain of albums that have come out this summer, but I feel like it will be. I hope it's not. I can't wait to see him on tour with JID and Thundercat. But as a Mac Miller fan, I really enjoyed it. Thought it was well thought out. No pop hits. And it's really cool to know that Mac Miller is doing better than I thought he was. Because when celebrities have silence, my assumption is always something's going wrong. or they're just so happy that they don't care anymore. But with Mac, I definitely thought the first one, like I thought something was wrong, because he's been like on and off the drugs, and a lot of issues with Ariana Grande. We got a lot of insight into that, and he seems way more at peace with it than the media would like him to be. Like the media wants Mac Miller to be like manic and crazy because he's a rapper. That's the rapper image that the media likes to portray, is that they're all now like loose cannons on drugs, and Ariana Grande is this like innocent, like harmless person who's just like in a happy marriage after 6 weeks. That's like the media narrative, and I hope Ariana Grande is happy, but I don't want Mac Miller to be unhappy as a result, if that makes sense. And I hate how invested I am in this like narrative, but I feel like because I've listened to his music so much that I kind of understand a little bit more about the situation that I should. Yeah, it was cool to know he's okay, and that was actually a really rewarding feeling, because once you know like an artist is going through it and has gone through it, their music, like for them to finally settle and be like, yeah, I'm okay, don't worry about me, that's a really cool feeling. Like if Earl could come out and be like, hey guys, I'm okay, I would feel like really relieved, which is stupid that I'm so invested in these people's lives. But like once you know, like I've been listening to this guy for 8 years, like I obviously know a lot about his like the struggles he's gone through mentally, and it's really cool to hear him back in the booth, like just giving us like the A-okay, I'm fine. I definitely think that this album could go down in history as one of his better albums. He says a lot of cool things, like on 2009 he says, I don't lie no more, nowadays all I do is shine, take a breath and ease my mind, and she don't cry no more, she told me that I get her high cause an angel's supposed to fly. I ain't asking why no more. Like that's, I don't know, it ain't 2009 no more, yeah I know it's behind that door. So kind of in this album it also kind of feels like he understands like what the old him was capable of and what that resulted in, like the lifestyle he used to live. Because a lot of times you see with artists who have drug habits that everyone kind of wants them to go back to that person. Like how many times have you heard someone say like, oh, I wish Cudi was back on drugs? And in my head I'm like, you guys are psychopaths. Like this is someone who obviously had an issue with drugs, and the fact that you want their music so bad that you want them hooked on drugs again is crazy to me. Like I wouldn't care if Mac Miller, Earl, or Cudi never made music again, but as long as they're fine and happy, like I don't care. It's just nice that I get to hear their music and then they get to make it. But yeah, I don't know. It was really good. Like I hope Mac Miller does more music. I really hope he doesn't disappear again. I think that the whole disappearing thing's kind of over indebted. I hope, because when you disappear like that, like when artists like just go away, it leaves a hole for artists who suck to come through, or who perceive suck. Like Kendrick takes 8 years to make an album. Cole takes like 5 years to make an album. Like you can't be working like that and expect hip hop to go into progressive motion. You know what I'm saying? Like I love Lil Pump, but the reason why Lil Pump exists is for a couple reasons. It's because Kendrick and Cole just keep leaving these gaps and these holes. Like everyone just releases their album at one time, and then there's just these like months where there's nothing coming out. Like in the next like year, nothing's gonna come out because so much music came out this summer. And it leaves these holes for people who might not be as talented to come in and be like, okay, there's no one here who's the best rapper. I'm just gonna make them the most money I can. Like I don't think Lil Pump's the best rapper, but he's making the most money he can because he could. Back in 2016, like or 2017, when he really blew up, there wasn't much going on. But now there's so much music that kind of wave of music has definitely decreased in popularity because everyone else is dropping. Like everyone's realizing that like rap's like a kingdom, and for a quick minute, like people like Pump and Yachty were at the top of the rap kingdom. I don't think they're the best rappers, but I think they make really good music. But I don't think that they should be at the top of the rap kingdom. It should be the Jays, the Drakes, the Coles, the Kendricks. Like why does Kendrick let all this stuff happen? Just like Kendrick won't even drop a verse just to end everyone. I don't understand. But I really hope Mac Miller's not disappeared and gone for good. I don't know. I thought it was a fantastic record. I keep saying it over and over again, but I really think so. And final rating from me, like an 8.5, 9. It's gonna take me a while to figure out if it's better than like Astro. Oh, I can't even compare to Astro, but it's a good AM and Faces. it's gonna take me a quick second to figure that bad boy out. Yeah, loved the album. Thought it was great. Next time I review something, it's definitely gonna be the Nicki album. And I'm really conflicted because my friend Alec keeps hitting me up and calling me a hater because I think that the Nicki rollout was the worst rollout of all time. Like literally, the release of Nicki Minaj's album gave me such a bad headache. Like making a song with 6ix9ine, like you that desperate Nicki for numbers that you need a 6ix9ine feature, and she's the pettiest person on the entire world. Like Nicki Minaj is the only person I know who goes on Twitter and retweets her fans defending her. Like that's how insecure you are about this whole situation. Come on, dog. And then she pushed her album back like 4 months, 4 times. She's the only artist to push her album back like that in 2018. And I don't know. And then she started all this drama with that writer. And she started all that drama yesterday with Safari. I don't know his name. But I really want to hear the Nicki album because I'm really interested to, I'm really interested to hear it. And I think Nicki can spaz too. I don't want my opinions to be misconstrued. I think Nicki Minaj really got bars like that. Like if you listen to Monster, listen to Pink Friday, like if you give her rapping a chance, she'll rap. Like she's definitely better at rapping than Cardi. And it's like, I hate to compare 2 women rappers, but it's been forced upon me by the media everywhere I look. Nicki said talking shit about Cardi talk like why can't there just be 2 really good female rappers? Like why does it always have to be like there's only one really good one? Like it's so annoying. I hate how the media works it. Like I'd love if there'd be more female rappers. Like like you don't have to put Dream Doll against Nicki. You don't have to put Cardi against Nicki. You don't have to compare everyone to Lil' Kim. Like why isn't it like it's just so stupid? There's like why is there room for like 50 men to be in rap, but there could only be like 3 slots for women in rap music? It's so dumb. At least we got the City Girls. City Girls is so lit. If you haven't looked up the City Girls music, they're from Miami. It is baller music. They're at the end of In My Feelings, the like the girl part in My Feelings. That part's so hot. Like I would love to see more female rappers. Like Rhapsody's tight. Like why can I name like 190 male rappers, but on the forefront of music there's like 5 women rappers? Like we gotta give people more space. I'm sorry, that's a rant. I also called how much Nicki Minaj was gonna sell to a T. I said 55K pure sales, 130 to 150K sales, because her rollout was awful. That I wouldn't care if she made the best music in the world. Her rollout made me not want to listen to her music. Like why 6ix9ine? 6ix9ine's the craziest part of rap music today, in my opinion, in my humble opinion, because this man is such a commodity at the moment. It's crazy. Like, labels literally think it's a smart idea to have their artists go on a radio tour and diss 6ix9ine like it's gonna get them any more clout. Like no one cares. You wanna know it's an amicable thing to do, record labels? Stop talking about a man with rainbow colored hair who caught a crazy charge back in the day. Stop bringing him up. Like, you wanna know why 6ix9ine's popular? It's because labels keep trying to put him in their artist's mouth. Like, why do you think YG just happens to start talking about 6ix9ine the day that Stay Dangerous comes out? It's because 6ix9ine's a commodity. Like, he's one of the few artists I've ever seen in my life make a real career out of hate. Like, the fact that people think that it's so edgy to be like, yo, I hate 6ix9ine. Yo, he sucks. I'm going to retweet something crazy about it, dude. Like, you're just adding to it. You don't understand that this man, like, profits off your hate. We live in an era of social media where if you hate a lot of people, like back in the day, if you hated someone, they just went away because you stopped buying their album, you stopped hearing about them. You stopped going to their concerts. They don't get a lot of revenue, but these artists get revenue off streams, off looks on Instagram, off advertisements, stuff like that. So when you say something bad about 6ix9ine, when everyone's like what I'm doing right now, that's putting money in 6ix9ine's pocket. You want 6ix9ine to go away? Stop talking about 6ix9ine. It's like Iggy. Y'all remember when everyone in the world hated Iggy? You want to know how we got rid of Iggy, even though she somehow came back from that twerking video on Twitter? You want to know how we got rid of Iggy? We stopped talking about Iggy. You got to stop talking about 6ix9ine if you don't want him to be here anymore. Sorry. But yeah. I don't know. 6ix9ine's so annoying. Like, this man has 8 Billboard hits, and he's about to have another one with a Spanish artist in like a month. Like, please, guys, let's stop making this man happen. Like, so annoying. All right, that's the end of my review. Mac Miller, 8.5 to 9 out of 10. Fantastic album. I hope I hear more from him. The Cole production was perfect. This is my last show for the summer. Hopefully I'll be back at some other point, but I have my radio show at school. Thank you, WNHH. It's been fantastic. The next time I'm on here, I'm going to be reviewing Slime Language and Nikki's show. I'll post everything on my social media. It's been a fantastic summer. Yeah, thank you. Like if you listen to my music, I really appreciate it. Or I'm not my music, like my music opinions, because I'm such a head ass. So, thanks.
Yeah, okay, I wake up with the taste of still in my mouth. Picture my bed, homegirl still asleep on the couch. My head is banging like Metallica. Swallow a bottle of Advil up, then head back to the bedroom where she sucked me dry like Dracula. It's the young miraculous, Mr. Love to grab his nuts. Never let a bitch inside, or in the Acura. Aurora Borealis with the shine, my aura gorgeous. Dinner with 40 courses, bunch of horny whores and fornicate to formulate a fortune. More into racing horses I am. My homies got my back, they all Verizon. I bring this to you, la 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 live, man. You gon' need at least 5 hands to hold my finance. I am fee 5-4 from the giant. The best thing out of Pittsburgh since Clemente with the Pirates. I tell them, this middle finger sign for silence. Ain't a way I'm keeping quiet. Yeah, riding through the city, blowing smoke out the window. Cops is on patrol, they looking out for all the criminals.